introspection. We welcome all to be part of us, regardless of racial identity, ethnic background, age, economic circumstances, educational achievement, judicial history, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender identity. UUFNN is about compassion and support, not judgment. I'm Bill Miller, personal pronouns, he, him, his, personal passions, climate change, and social justice. It is my pleasure to serve as your worship associate this morning for our State of the Fellowship service led by Reverend Karen. Today's service is a multi-platform event combining in-person and online, coming to you live from the UUFNN Great Room. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. We're glad to have you join us. If you are online, feel free to contact the office or our website for more information. You can also click on the link in the chat box and fill out the newcomer form, sign up for our newsletter, which will keep you informed of the many activities here at UUFNN. If you are here in person, please see, oh, I just got lost. If you are here in person, there's so much to this. Please see one of us to help get you to someone who can give you that information. Page 2. Please note that due to the multi-platforms nature of this service, there will not be a formal offertory time today. We do welcome your offerings, helps keep the lights on. So here's how you can give. If you are present in person, please drop your offerings in one of the receptacles in the front or back of the hall. There or there. If you are following virtually, please text 73256, that's 73256. Type in UUFNN and hit send. Or you can also mail a check to the office at 780 Del Monte Lane, Reno, 89511. Today's Share the Plate recipient is Washoe CASA, C-A-S-A, which stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. CASA serves Washoe County's youth within the foster care system. That is approximately 165 children with about 95 volunteers at any time. The CASA goal is to recruit and train advocates to serve every child in the foster care system. Advocates who are often the only constant adult presence in the child's life at this stressful time. Your donation helps support the recruiting and training of volunteer advocates. So thank you for your generosity. Regrettably, COVID still lingers. So if you're here in person, please follow safety protocols. Wear a mask, indoors or out, stay 3 feet apart for each person or household group, no more than 2 in a restroom at a time, congregate outdoors as much as possible, and so countercultural for us UUs, no hugging. No, it's just wrong. Just air hugs and elbow bumps. For those of you meeting on Zoom, you can update your name on screen, which helps everyone know who you are. Note that you will remain muted during the service, but can use the chat box for comments, especially during the prayer and meditation sessions. As a courtesy, please refrain from posting announcements while folks are presenting. I mean, really, behave. Following the service, I invite you to join us for coffee hour, where we break into small groups to visit virtually, face-to-face. If you're here in person, you can congregate outdoors or in the lobby area for coffee and conversation. Again, I'm Bill Miller, your worship associate for today. Thank you for still being with us this morning and enduring my litany of rules, regulations, and procedures. That's it. Let the service begin.
call to worship this morning is from Reverend Mark Morrison Reed. The central task of a religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of each of our individual lives. Once felt, that inspires us to act for justice. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength is too limited to do all that must be done. But together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed and multiplied. I invite those who are joining us on Zoom this morning to gather the chalice that you have nearby as we light our chalice to open our service this morning. I'm going to invite us to take the last line of what I just read to you and repeat after me in these phrases for our chalice lighting words. Together, our vision widens, and our strength is renewed, and multiplied. Because we're invited in these COVID-safe times to only sing in our hearts, I'm going to invite you on this next song. If you need to stand and move a little bit, feel free to do that. Now let us sing and dance. From the words of one of my colleagues, the amazing Reverend Teresa I. Soto. There is a charm for hope. The first thing to do is tie a string around your finger. Remember that you are not alone. Think of the ways that our best shared futures are braided inextricably with your own present and your destiny. I'm going to offer that line again. Think of the ways that our best shared futures are braided inextricably with your own present and your destiny. The second thing is to untie the string and let the knots and tightness fall away. Let the burden of bleakness roll off your sore shoulders. Resistance on these opaque horizons only requires one source of strength, one ray of light. Remember that persistence does not require all the answers up front, only one. Fortunately for all of us, we have one response: to remain together through awkward times and happy ones. We remember and we find our resolve in one another. In this new year, we are entering the season of State of the Union addresses and so forth, and so I've chosen today to offer a State of the Fellowship address, just a snapshot of where we are right now from my perspective. Sometimes I wonder what it must be like for presidents to offer a State of the Union address and how daunting it must be to balance being honest, to put forth a positive spin so that folks don't lose hope. And I can't imagine in these times how it must be to approach that task. Lucky for me, because of who you are, it's a delight. I have done this sometimes in past years, just giving a snapshot for a State of the Fellowship in January. And so after what we've been through together the last couple of years, it just felt like the right time to do that once again this year. And so I want to frame it in a particular way and give us a particular lens to look through as we come to this moment and this place in this particular time. And so I'm going to ask you to embark on this task together, this conversation, that you tune in completely with your whole self to Melanie DeMoore.
Don't leave your sister hanging. You got
One foot from the other, and we will apart. One foot from the other, and we will
in my next life, I certainly hope that I can come back as Melanie DeMoore. I'm putting in my order. In the very best of times, the very best that we can do is put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And in challenging times, the very best and maybe the only thing we can do is put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. As I offer you our State of the Fellowship address this morning, I'm going to touch on just a few key areas of our congregational life together, and as I mentioned, give you a little snapshot from my perspective. And so the first place that we're going to go with that is around our finances. And so I'm going to invite the amazing Dave Hutchison, chair of our finance committee, to come forward and offer that for you.
Good morning. Amazing. I haven't been introduced like that before. I have about 3 minutes or more to provide the state of our financial position, and I will be brief with none of my usual dazzling spreadsheets, so bear with me. At this point in time, I'm happy to announce that our financial position is sound. If we had to secure financing from a bank right now, the first questions a bank would ask are, what are your reserves and what is your working capital cash position? Our operational reserve right now is in excess of $96,000 and remains intact. In addition, we have $25,000 in a reserve account to cover uneven cash flow throughout the fiscal year. Combined, those two reserves allow us to cover almost 4 months of operational expenses should a sudden major financial emergency arise. And our uncommitted working capital cash at this point is currently adequate to meet those unbudgeted one-time repairs or other significant expense that crop up unknowingly or unbudgeted that are necessary to keep the fellowship functioning. Additionally, through December, we're ahead of our budgeted net income year to date, although I think we'll experience some fluctuation with that net income over the remaining 6 months of the fiscal year. And also, other than our mortgage, our liabilities are really quite minor. I want to mention there is an asterisk to our current sound financial position in that we also face some important challenges. As you may know, we have an aging fellowship demographic that will certainly impact our future revenue stream. Secondly, the current fiscal year was the first time the number of household pledges actually decreased. I think this is probably attributable to a COVID blip, but still, it's a challenge that we have to face going forward. I want to add that after I was worried about a large deficit for last fiscal year, we ended up in the black by $84,000, $84,000. Half of that was attributable to the forgiveness of that government payment protection loan that we received, but the rest of it, the other half, was the result of your generosity, and your generosity generated that favorable result. And to plug our upcoming stewardship campaign, I hope that generosity continues as you consider your pledge for the new fiscal year. And lastly, we have to plan for those non-annual expenses that come up every 5 years or so in our current budgets, rather than trying to find the cash and hope it's there when that need arises. This is sound financial planning, but it will make our budgeting process for next year a bit more challenging. So to recap, although we must plan for the changing demographics of our congregation and the need for stronger revenue options, I can proudly say that our current financial position is sound and remains intact. I think there are a lot of smaller churches like ours that are not able to say that. So I'm very proud of you and our congregation and our staff to help us get where we are with a sound financial position. Thank you. I'm here after the service if you have questions, or feel free to email me.
Our Finance Committee does an amazing job in keeping us abreast and in touch with how we're doing financially and what we need to be doing, and just unbelievable thanks to them for the work that they do really every day, every day. I'll also mention, as a part of our financial snapshot, that the Finance Committee has needed to move to a team approach for our treasurer position. And so we're needing to add more people to that effort, to the Finance Committee and to the treasurer effort. If you have any numbers, knowledge, or sense at all, we'd love for you to consider asking Dave for more information about what that involves. And we very much appreciate your attention and commitment to that effort. I'd like to go on to say that over the last couple of extraordinary years that we've shared together, our Board of Trustees has been the right leadership for that time. They have led in a cohesive way, very thoughtfully and conscientiously. Our current board president, Chris Hyland, who's in his post at the back, I really can't tell you what it has been like to lead step by step with love with this board of directors. They have just been amazing during this time, so I can't thank them enough. Also, just want to say a little bit about our tech world. Our website is undergoing a pretty major redesign, thanks to Michelle Hamilton, who's also our tech person in the booth today. So you can look forward to that in the coming months. And our tech multi-platform effort, since we have been coming back in person since the end of September, that team is amazing. I wish that every one of you could be in this room beginning at 8 o'clock, yes, 8 o'clock, every Sunday morning to work on the tech, to do our run-throughs. It is really hard to describe what a monumental effort it is to be both in person and on Zoom and try to have both of those experiences be optimal all at the same time. It's been a steep learning curve. We're still learning. We're still trying out new things every week to see what the options are that are available to us to make both experiences absolutely as optimal and meaningful as they can be. So that's been very much a thing in the life of our congregation these last while. And I hope that you'll join me again and again in thanking our tech team for all that they do, led by Philip Moore. Which brings me to, I wanted to say a little bit about attendance. You know, the question people ask a lot, you know, how are we doing in that regard? People on Zoom ask it, people in the room ask it. And I'm happy to report to you that with some ebbs and flows over the last couple of years, our attendance has stayed fairly steady and has returned to a very strong place in the last few months. On December 19th, we hit an attendance record that we had not seen since pre-COVID with a combination. And I have to tell you also, you know, as we look at this, we're in a new era because we really only look at Zoom and in-person attendance, and we also have Facebook attendance, and we also have people who come back and look at the recorded service, sometimes 30 or 40 a week, but we don't add that into our actual attendance. So there's a scope at which we're not always really looking at the entire picture, but we were at our stated COVID capacity of 65 in the room on Christmas Eve. It felt really full. It felt almost like it used to, which was really, really meaningful. And as I said, we have been in the 90s and over 100, December 19th, 110 to 120, really strong attendance. So I want you to know that I'm very, very pleased with where we are on that, and that's because of you and your dedication. So I thank you for that. And I have to tell you that there are a lot of congregations who in these times are struggling really mightily with attendance and finances. I hear this. I know the board and committee of ministry is probably tired of hearing me say this, and that's my landscape. That's where I get my information from the larger picture. And so because of you and your generosity and your commitment and your steadfastness, we're in a pretty good place in both of those arenas, which is wonderful 2 years after we went out on COVID just about. So I would say to you, keep attending in person if you feel safe doing that. Keep attending on Zoom. And your attendance helps us know where we need to put our efforts. We're always watching those trends, looking at them. So keep coming. Let's continue being community in all the ways that we can. And if you know of anyone who doesn't feel safe coming in person, is getting a little weary of Zoom, and it feels like they're losing their connection, please let me know so that we can reach out and keep our community as gathered as we possibly can as we continue to learn how to navigate these times. I want to take just a moment and speak really candidly with you about the UU landscape of ministry as it sits right now, and also about my particular ministry with you. Not sure how this has happened, but just completed 4 years as your minister. Doesn't seem possible. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Currently in the UUA, there is an unprecedented minister shortage. Many ministers have left their positions due to the immense difficulty of these last couple of years, due to burnout. There's been ministers going out on mental health leave and stress leave in a way that we've not quite seen before. COVID has drastically exacerbated what are already challenging situations of the changing landscape of the church. And though I have been here for 4 years, been your minister for 4 years, I've actually been here for 11, almost 12 years. A colleague said recently that COVID years for ministers are like dog years. That during COVID, you get 3 or 4 years credit for every year. So that really resonates. True for many professions in these days, right? So it's important to stay ahead of that reality, to strive for balance. And for that reason, I'll be taking a mini sabbatical during February and March for rest, renewal, for realigning with myself, finding those best spiritual places that I can lead from. It's hard for all of us to get out from under that weariness when the waves keep coming. And so it's important for all of us to listen to what we need and take heed of that. Somebody said in the congregation said to me recently, "You have a really hard job." And my response to them was, No, I don't have a hard job. I really have an impossible job. You know, there's just not a way to ever feel caught up or get everything done, a constant shuffling of priorities. And I share that with you, not so that you feel bad for me or sorry or anything. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am here for you, dedicated for you. But I also think it's important to be transparent and for you to have the whole picture as much as possible and as honestly as possible. Whether you're in relationship with me or another minister, I like to be as real and authentic with you as I can. So mini sabbatical, February and March, it's wonderful to have that benefit at this particular time. Also, in terms of the larger UUA, General Assembly is going to be in Portland in June. And as of now, it's planned to be in person and online. If you've ever thought about going to GA in person, it's not often on the West Coast, so Portland will be an easy jaunt to get to if you want to think about that. We have information available. I'm planning to go for the first time. I didn't go last year. It was actually all remote last year. Something to think about if you've ever thought about wanting to experience the larger body that is Unitarian Universalism. GA is a pretty exciting way to do that. So really encourage you to think about whether you might be interested in attending GA in Portland in June. So many things continue to thrive in our congregation. You know, we have spent the last couple years learning, exploring, trying different things. And because of the way that you have been dedicated to being community, so many things continue to thrive. You know, our Borderlands Justice Initiative continues to do great work around immigration. You're going to hear a little bit more from them in the upcoming weeks. The Food Bank has a small but mighty group that volunteers there every month. The Reno Posse feeds hungry neighbors, over 100 every single Wednesday, with a broad team of people collecting, driving, coordinating meals, pieces of meals, putting together the meals, taking them out to hungry folks. Our refugee families that we sponsored over the last few years are thriving, doing very, very well. We're still very much in connection with them. Our Share the Plate initiative, we give half of our offerings every week, every Sunday, every month to the nonprofit partners that we describe, and your continuing generosity to that is very much appreciated. And so, as we look at future initiatives, it's a very exciting time to figure out who we want to be as spiritual community going forward. You know, we're in some birthing pains as we're trying so hard to come out of what these last couple of years have been and wondering how that's going to look. But it's an incredible time to look at what might be possible, who we can become together as a result of the storm that we've been through and all that we've learned. It's a time to recalibrate and reconfigure and to toss around some ideas and see what sticks, see what we feel like we're being called to, because this community is so extraordinary that we have some very particular ways and callings we want to look at to serve our neighboring community. And I have talked with you about, I want us to look at the particular, the ways that we might provide childcare during the week to folks who can't afford childcare for their children. A group is going to gather starting this week to start exploring if that's feasible, even what it might look like. And if you are interested, send me an email. There are some folks who have told me they're interested, and by the time I leave the building, I can no longer remember who they were. So if you didn't get an email from me about that meeting and you want to join it, it's on Thursday at 5 o'clock on Zoom. You can let me know that. I want to say just a little bit about our volunteerism. You are a group of dedicated, energy abundant volunteers. And we always have to remember that we need to balance our social justice activities with taking care of our organization. You know, the first thing that many of us want to do is get involved in our social justice activities, and that's great. That's who we are. We need to be doing that. And we also have to keep the wheels turning on our internal organization so that we can fully engage in those social justice opportunities. And so it's the time of the year where we start looking at who is going off the board for the next year, who might be coming on the board. If you haven't ever served on the board but wondered when was the right time for you to do that, have a conversation with us to get more information so that we can just talk about it. Raising your hand and saying I have questions is not committing. It is getting more information to discern who are the right people and what is the right path. Our various committees continue to need folks to join them. It's a good time in the new year to look at that and to see where your interests, where your passions might be, where some folks are needed. You're going to hear a little bit later in the service from our caring committee and an invitation to consider joining with that work. In terms of religious education, Kristen is getting on her feet after her surgery in the fall and is putting some plans together for how that's going to look. We'll have another offering in terms of creating a culture of anti-racism. And the book group that read My Grandmother's Hands stayed so steadfast and strong and was so impactful and meaningful for those that participated that we're putting together now the next phase, the next opportunity of that and what that's going to look like. And for 7th to 9th graders, Christine is putting together an OWL program. You'll hear more about that from her at the end of the service, but this is one of our signature UU programs, Our Whole Lives, our comprehensive sexuality program, and that's going to happen for youth for the remainder of this year. So you can be watching for our racial justice and our other programming to come in the next few weeks. As Dave mentioned, we will be kicking off officially our stewardship program. Our chalices of fire. And so I want to ask you to go ahead and be thinking about your investment in our amazing community as we move forward. It's not too soon to start thinking about that so we can be ready to join together and come in strong, ever stronger in that effort. And so it's an exciting time. It's a time just filled with opportunity that waits for our creativity and our ingenuity and our passions to unite with the deepest hungers of our world. And so it's a good opportunity to listen to the world to help us figure out who we need to be and who our larger community needs us to be. And so I want to thank you for participating in this snapshot, this State of Our Community address. We are overall in a really good place, not without some challenges, but those would be there in even the most normal times. And once again, I just want to say a huge thank you to our staff, to all of our leadership, and to you for the way that you have weathered the storm, not by dissipating, but by coming together. That's been huge, and a huge piece of great news for our community over the last couple of years. So let's keep that going. Let's keep that going. And let's put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. There's no better place to do that and to be than together, being community and doing the work in the world that we are called to do together. One foot in front of the other, leading in love. Blessed be. Amen.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near.
And so we take these few moments to gather our hearts and our spirits, our whole beings, with all that we bring this day, our joys, our concerns, our celebrations, our excitements, our fears, our worries. And we come fully present to the deepest parts of ourselves and to one another. And we call to mind in our hearts today those who are struggling, those who need a hand to hold, those who are suffering in addiction, depression, illness, injury, grief, loss. We send out our love and our energy to those, that they may find a measure of comfort and healing, that they may know that they are not alone. And we also gather our energy for those who celebrate today. For those who are celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and milestones and transitions. May the joy be palpable in those situations. We take a few moments now to continue this time of prayer and reflection, and those who are on Zoom are invited to record the prayers of your hearts in the chat. We gather together all of our prayers and our meditations, those that are held in such deep places that words are inadequate. And we gather them, and we know and trust that they are held in the heart of love. And we offer our gesture anew today. One hand on the heart, palm extended. And it is our way of reminding one another that you are each an important part of this community. It would not be the same without you. Never doubt that you are loved, you are valued, you are important. Blessed be, and amen.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen Crowley, and I'm the current chair of the Caring Committee. And I'm looking to go off on travels for the next few months, so we're currently thinking of making that chair a rotating position. But for now, I'm your gal. And what the Caring Committee does is we try to assist people with all of life's inevitable challenges, be it illness or death or any other kind of difficulty. And at the same time, we also like to help you celebrate your joys and your triumphs. And the ways we do this are by providing things like meals or visits, just keeping in touch with people, moral support through calls and cards. And currently, we have a very committed core of 7 people. And I'd like to put a face to the committee members, and those of you who are here in the room, if you can wave, and even if you're out on Zoom, give a wave, and hopefully the people on your page anyway will get a chance to put a face to you. So the first member is Bob Quillich. Is Bob here? I think he must be on Zoom today. Our second member is Mary Ortiz. If you could wave, Mary. She's one of our big card writers that helps us out that way. Our third member is Linda Hansen, who I know is on Zoom. Our fourth is Sally Moore, also on Zoom. And Leah Case, who is our Carson City Worker Bee, is a fairly new addition, and it's really nice to have some representation down there for all the folks that live in Carson City, so a special shout out to Leah. Pat Francis is our 7th member, and she also does the cards for us. Now, coming up in February, we have the joy of adding Stan Dunford Jackson, right over there. So that's a terrific addition. Thank you, Stan. Our meetings are the first Thursday of every month on Zoom from 10 a.m. to 12. And we would really like to resume a combination of Zoom and in-person, because I know there's some people who really struggle with the Zoom aspect of it. But right at this moment, we don't have anyone with those technology skills, so could it be one of you, perhaps? I personally know what a great and caring community we really have here. And so many of you in the audience have offered your time and talents from outside the committee. I'm looking at the Yankees right now. And at the same time, we'd also like to strengthen that core group. So please consider joining us. You will find interesting ways of meeting people and getting some self-satisfaction as well as assisting other people. And if you want to know how to contact us, you can either reach out to one of us in person, one of the members in person, or let Carol Sorensen in the office know, and she'll relay that information to me and I can get in touch with you. We also have an email. It's caring@uufnn.org. And I believe Emily told me she couldn't find it on our website. So if you even send something to the office at uufnn.org, it will get to us. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you so much for joining us for our service today. Whether you're joining us on Zoom or in the room, we appreciate so much. There's something just mysterious and magical about what happens when we come together. So appreciate so much your staying connected in community. As has been mentioned, we do not currently take an in-person offering due to our COVID safety protocols. And so you can do that here in the room by leaving an offering in the basket at the back or here at the front, and by texting here or anywhere, or by mailing a check. Lots of choices for supporting our congregation. We appreciate your generosity. And our Share the Plate for January is the court-appointed special advocates for foster children. And I believe Kristen is on Zoom and has an announcement for us.
Karen mentioned earlier our Whole Lives program, OWL for short. It's a sexuality education program that we offer every other year, usually to our 7th to 9th graders. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't been able to offer this very important program for several years. And so I'm really excited that we're going to be kicking it off on January 20th with an orientation for parents and families. This is one of those programs that I feel is one of the most important ministries that we do. We are known around the nation for this program because people from all over the place try to participate in it whenever it's offered. It's that important. And it's not just about sexual health for our young people, but it's also about healthy relationships in general and navigating social media and understanding what's happening with our bodies and with our emotions and all the things that happen in life during that time period of 7th to 9th grade. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to put a link in the chat for you to register for the program. We're offering it for 7th to 9th graders, but if you missed out over the last couple of years because we haven't been able to offer it, then please do register. We want all of our youth to be able to participate. And if you're on the fence about it and you're just not sure and you want to ask questions, you can reach out to me, or feel free to attend the parents orientation on January 20th at 5:30, and we can answer all your questions. You can take a look at the curriculum if you'd like to. It's a fabulous program. I cannot say enough good things about it. It's been around for a long time, and we really hope that everyone gets the opportunity to participate. So I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Please share it with anyone, even if they're not a part of our congregation. You are all welcome to participate. Please spread the word and make sure that you get signed up for this important program.
And coworkers, if you know of anyone who has youth of that age, it's a great opportunity to gather folks for this to be both outreach and a wonderful service beyond our congregation. So think carefully about those youth that you know who are of that age that you might want to connect with Kristen so they can get more information about this program. I do want to let you know that Pat Francis is continuing to need dog walkers. You have been amazing signing up to walk Millie. So appreciative of that, and that is a continuing need. So the link is in our email. You can go on that and sign up so that we can get those slots filled. I think the slots needed are starting at about January 13th as of yesterday. So those on Zoom are invited to stay on for small groups for informal coffee hour conversations. And those in the room, please greet each other with an elbow bump or a bow or however you choose to do that, and enjoy greeting one another, maintaining our distance as part of our safety protocols. You will be familiar and will recognize our closing song.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice, sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices too. The sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of all of us, singing with love and the will to trust. Leave the rest behind and you'll turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice.
Beloveds, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we receive the blessing. Never doubt that it takes each and every one of us to build and to be community. There are things that you bring that no one else can. Our chalice is a fire because we all bring a spark. May our fire shine ever brighter, provide more warmth, and continue to grow, because it is you who know that you are loved and valued and irreplaceable. Blessed be, amen, and namaste.